Hello everyone, Star here, and because we are finally getting the Shibuya incident arc after waiting so many years, I decided to do a review of one of my favorite characters of all time, doing a trope I wanted to see so badly done properly, and of course his name is Yuji Itadori, my fucking son! Like, to be honest, when I first started Jujutsu Kaisen with the anime, like most people, Yuji didn't really connect with me all that much. Like, he seemed like your typical shonen hero who just wants to do the right thing. But something I noticed, and what I love Jujutsu Kaisen for, is that a lot of the character development happens through the fights. Because due to the power system of JJK, that the more negative your emotions are, the more powerful you become, to where having stuff like fate won't work in this world. The wanting of self-sacrifice or to kill someone even is what ultimately allows our main characters to achieve their goals. The way JJK handles this is by making Yuji and just breaking him down to a once hopeful person to a suicidal driven person who wanting to die fuels him. And I find that so fascinating as each arc that has Yuji as a focus continues this path of self-sacrifice and destruction. So going back to Yuji not connecting to me at first, like, he was okay. When we are first introduced to him, he was just a happy person who seemed like a person that didn't have a care in the world, but not really knowing what to do with their life. But the thrust into the world of jiu-jitsu by eating a finger and becoming the host of the most powerful curse in all of jiu-jitsu society, Sukuna, and I guess because I was starting college when the anime began, I didn't really relate to him that hard because I knew what I wanted to do with my life at that time. Now, not so much, and if I was watching the show for the first time, I feel like I would really connect with him a lot more. So let's just call this version Beginning Yuji. Like, sure, I felt bad for him because, well, his grandpa died, and he is now stricken with a curse that this old man gave to him, to now where he is obsessed with making sure that people have a good death. Like, to me, that's noble and all. I even felt sad for him when he started crying that he didn't want to die. But I guess because the very foundation of his character lacked depth, which, now knowing what I know, makes a lot of sense. But still, I felt emotions, but never felt too attached to him. Then there was a talk between him and Junpei, another person who recently awakened to be in the world of jiu-jitsu, that honestly hit and just made me connect with Yuji. In this scene, Junpei and Yuji talk about the ethics of killing, because in Junpei's view, killing is okay as he was dealt with severe bullying all his life. And Yuji's answer to this is on why he doesn't is honestly really nuanced for me. He explains that when he takes that step to kill someone, that killing will now become an option to him, that it would become easier to disregard life itself. The lines between who is an ally and who is an enemy will become more blurrier, to where at the end of the day they will all die, and that thought scared him. Like, hearing such a layered response when before he was just talking very surface level on why he doesn't want to kill anybody gave me such an appreciation of Yuji. But fast forward and we reach the next version of Yuji, which I like to call Mahito Yuji. So, Mahito Yuji, as one of the main antagonists of the series, we reach the first steps of breaking Yuji Itadori. See, for me, one of the most unique things and what I love about Yuji is that he starts off with loose morals as something not concrete, and as the series goes on, the stronger his conviction gets. The start of his conviction is that to kill Mahito. Seeing him make such a statement after hammering it in that he does not want to be a killer so easily was so fascinating to me. but it was relatable as Mahito killed Junpei, and for Yuji, that really felt like he just saw someone's future robbed right in front of him. He saw him and Junpei get closer as they both share similar passion for stuff like film, thus declaring that he will kill Mahito as this is the first great evil that he has ever faced. The second breaking that Mahito forces Yuji to do is to actually kill humans who turn into monsters, forcing Yuji to finally make his first kill. The most interesting thing about this is that we don't see him kill. It is to keep up with the thought process of Yuji that he has to do this now and think about it later just to get to Mahito. Thus, the trope I've always wanted to see is when the protagonist has to learn to kill when they had the morals not to. Yuji committing his first kill was handled so well that it's when I became attached to his character ever since. To Yuji, he was the one that caused him all this pain and wants him to suffer for it. The first time he ever felt such hatred to someone in his carefree life. That made me realize why it felt like Yuji was kind of bland, as he lived such a carefree but boring life beforehand, not really having a purpose as that was what his grandfather wanted for him. But now he is dead. Yuji now has to be confronted with the harshness of this reality, and we see Yuji make his first true conviction in the series. That conviction, for now, going all towards his hatred to one person. Him wanting a good death is something that can wait later. He first needs to kill Mahito. Years of hatred that has just been left untamed has all been dedicated just to this one cursed spirit now. I find it so interesting how perfectly the series captures the first time a human being hates someone, the pure rage to where you are on adrenaline overload. However, since this is Yuji and Mahito's first fight, of course Mahito escapes, with Yuji just feeling such a mix of emotion. First was him confronting that he actually killed people, him knowing that he broke his loose conviction that all he's thrown into a state of confusion to where he doesn't know what to do exactly now. He wanted people to die a good death, but he knows he wasn't able to provide that to Junpei and the victims of Mahito, which, knowing there's no way to get out of this situation he's in, he makes a new goal for himself: to kill Mahito and protect people he cares for. Basically, the breaking of his old conviction is reinforced into this new one to be much stronger now, taking both his and his grandpa's wishes into it. His grandpa's wish of Yuji not dying alone, meaning protect, and Yuji's rage at Mahito because he knows that he and him are both connected through hatred. Yuji's first hate, and Mahito being the representation of hate and all other negative emotion given physical form from humanity. Mahito Yuji is shown through the next two arcs he is featured in, to where we see Yuji is still his cheerful personality, but now we see when handling curses, he is controlled by his rage and sadness. Now to where, because of that, he unlocked the special technique of the Black Flash. Due to his mixed state of emotion as well as Sukuna, I found this subtle change in his emotion so fascinating, as in real life people don't change their personality on a dime. And between the Mahito fight and the attack of the school, very little time has passed to where Yuji is still adjusting himself to this new conviction. So I absolutely applaud Gege for giving Yuji a new ability for his new conviction, as well as subtle. It's fascinating that every time he changes his conviction, he gains the ability to do something new. So after the school attack, the next big shift in Yuji is what I like to call Shibuya Yuji, as this is when Yuji fully breaks all of his old conviction and will from his grandfather and fully embraces his role as a jujutsu sorcerer. So, Shibuya Yuji. He is now a being filled with hate and regret. Like, deadass, Gege fully breaks Yuji down, and in such a realistic way, as well as it's not Yuji's personality taking a complete 180 to where he feels like a completely different person, which I hate when lighthearted characters goes on a dark path, is that they kind of lose all their charms that made them likable. Yuji can still have fun, but it's a lot less now. He can't crack as many jokes as he used to because he's just filled with regret now, which I honestly appreciate Shibuya Yuji for that. This is Yuji is similar to our old one, but he feels like a completely changed person after the night of October 31st. After experiencing so much trauma like the death of Nanami and Nobara, as well as such a massive loss of innocent life that Yuji wanted to have a good death for all of them, to finally Sukuna breaking free and essentially destroying Shibuya as a whole using his own body. Yuji wanting to have a good death is thrown away now. He wants to die so badly now, but knows he can't because of his mission to completely destroy Sukuna. Now, even though he is not at fault, he blames himself with a self-hatred and thus brings forth a new conviction, which is that he is nothing but a cog in destroying cursed spirits, a cog in the machine, as he says. He doesn't view cursed spirits as once humans that can be saved, but as monsters that need to be killed. With his hatred of them now reaching a new level, brings forth the ability to do multiple black flashes at once, something that no other jujutsu sorcerer can do. Every punch he throws is like a megaton hit. However, Yuji is left unsatisfied because the other main villain, that is Kanjaku, kills Mahito in front of Yuji, leaving his rage unfulfilled. However, instead of letting all that rage go, it is now all directed towards Sukuna, as his action in Shibuya has made Yuji view himself as nothing but a monster. That Sukuna is equally as guilty as Mahito. If Mahito wasn't able to fill his rage, Sukuna will now take all that burden. Because at the end of the day, Yuji's emotional state is so messed up that he now knows rage and hate. He can't let it go. That's honestly why I love Yuji so much. He feels like such a real person because surprisingly, the events of Mahito and Shibuya are not too far apart from one another. Again, he still has his lighthearted moments from time to time, but now he is just completely self-deprecating, just trying to finish his job and finally die taking one of the greatest evils in the world with him. Shibuya Yuji is the Yuji we spend the most and least time with, as one of the most unique things about Jujutsu Kaisen is that the story doesn't revolve around him, but rather he revolves around the story, changing him as he goes along. This is also compounded by the fact that he chooses not to go all out anymore, as it risks of Sukuna unleashing his power once again. Now taking the burden of responsibility, he now has the main goal of freeing Gojo from his prison and killing Sukuna. So he was going with this mindset, including reinforcing it when a judge sorcerer questions him, and he still takes full responsibility for what happened, even surprising the judge, because at this point most people know it was Sukuna that destroyed Shibuya. Ultimately, Yuji now being that fine line between selfish and wanting to fulfill his own personal goals and selfless as he takes full responsibility of what happened is something I never seen in a shonen series before. Now we go into a Yuji that hasn't been explored much yet, which is post Sukuna Yuji. Post Sukuna Yuji, as this event happened recently to where Yuji finally loses Sukuna as well as his original curse technique of Divergent Fists, but now he's finally has something to direct his anger towards, as well as Sukuna has taken over his best friend Megami. So this now reaches a conflict within Yuji to where we don't know what his new conviction is, as it hasn't been explored much, as we see that his new goal is to stop Sukuna and save Megami. All his other goals is put on the back burner for now. Ultimately, I love Yuji for portraying how traumatic effects will affect actual human being in a short amount of time. As when Shibuya incident happens to where the Gojo versus Sukuna fight has happened, it's only been 2 months and Yuji has gotten his wish for now to distract himself and trying to keep his core belief alive. People don't rationally change in a short period of time. It takes so long for people to change themselves, whether that be for better or worse. I have high hopes that Gege can pull off Yuji's character arc because so far he's one of the few main characters that captivated me so well. Anyways, I think I got a style down for these type of videos, but I will explore further. So for now, please let me know anything I can do to make these videos better, and I hope you all have a good day.